Welcome, friends and new viewers. I'm Yvonne Davis. I'm an author, astrologer with a degree in political science and economics from the University of Denver. And this is my channel where I do general astrology and political astrology. So if you're new, I hope that you will subscribe and click the bell for notifications. And if you like this video, please click like and share with your friends and family on social media. All right, so today I am doing a video on the new moon, which is May 4th. So I'm going to pull up that chart so you can see what it looks like. All righty, here we go. Okay, so what we see here is a new moon in Taurus, and this is on May 4th. And in the United States, it's going to be in the evening. So I would say early evening because this is the East Coast time. So anyway, this is a new moon in Taurus. And this is really a very positive new moon. So I'm going to talk about the aspects and what they mean and how that might guide you in your own life. All right, so the first thing I want to point out here, because this is a really strong aspect, is the fact that Mars is opposite Jupiter. And by the way, well, Mars rules Aries. That's a very martial warrior type of fiery energy that wants to take action. So sometimes can be kind of impulsive, but is also good if you need to get things done. Jupiter is a benefic planet, but largely what it does is expand things. So sometimes that works favorably, sometimes it doesn't. And it's also in a square to Neptune. So this is actually what's called a T-square because we have the opposition here and then the square here. And it's a somewhat wide orb, so it's more of a general transformation. But the fact that Mars and Jupiter are opposite each other brings more energy to that square, to that T-square. What a square does is it creates pressure. It's sort of like a pressure cooker. And so you may find yourself in a situation, and by the way, this will be more powerful at the full moon when it's exact on the evening of May 4th. But it's also a transformational energy. So there's a bell curve, and it generally starts as early as 5 days prior to the full moon, and then it tapers off for as much as 5 days afterward. So just keep that in mind, that the power will be strongest at the full moon. This also brings in the power of the Saturn South Node conjunction, which is happening on Tuesday, April 30th. So there is a releasing, and when I come over here and talk more about the Saturn and Pluto aspects and how their energies are working into this, I will talk about that South Node. So the first thing, like I said, I want to just talk about the energy of this T-square with the opposition of Mars and Jupiter. Now, another thing about Jupiter is that Jupiter is the god of truth and justice and philosophy. And so it can be in terms of a general truth, like a big T truth, but it can also be your personal truth. So with Mars opposite Jupiter, you may have this feeling of righteousness because your truth is being activated in a way that is in a pressure cooker. And one of the things that Neptune brings to the mix is Neptune has a shadow side, which is things that are hidden. And they're things that either we don't see because someone is hiding them from us, either intentionally or unintentionally, or because we've hidden them from ourselves. We're not willing to look at the truth. So sometimes there can be a bit of self-delusion in there as well, especially when it's mixed with this righteousness. So what I would guide you to do is to really try to think rationally, about whatever is being revealed with this full moon in your own personal life, and ask yourself what you feel you need to do about it, because Mars is going to give you the energy to do what you need to do, especially when it's inflated by Jupiter. So the real question you need to ask yourself is, with the information that's being revealed and illuminated with this full moon, what does that tell you about what you feel you need to do, okay, to be in your own integrity and alignment with your truth? And so the spiritual side of this is to really try to keep grounded, stay balanced, see the whole perspective, and then see what action you need to take, because this full moon with the T-square is going to bring a lot of pressure, especially with Mars in the mix. It's opposition to Jupiter and it's square to Neptune. You're going to want to take action. You're going to want to speak your truth. And like I said, that is a good thing, as long as you've really tried to see the whole picture and hold things in balance. So the new moon is a good time for beginning new things. And I would say any time after the new moon is a good time to begin. Most astrologers also suggest maybe waiting a couple of days before you take that first action. I don't know that it really matters that much, but definitely the power is there to begin something new and to ultimately bring it to fruition. So with the new moon in Taurus, you want to be thinking about Taurian subject matter. Taurus rules the second house of things that we value, and that includes ourselves. So when you're, with that Mars opposite Jupiter, and it's square to Neptune, that's really putting pressure on you to take some action, to be in integrity with your truth. The other thing to keep in mind is that this will be intimately connected to your own sense of self-worth and what you value. So you're going to be taking actions to move in that direction, to create new things, to change things, to move in new directions in order to be more in alignment with what you value and your own sense of self-worth, and to bring those things about so that you can have, I would say, material comfort. And I don't necessarily mean that that's luxury or consumerism, because Taurus is a very earthy sign, so sometimes it may manifest that way, but it can be something as simple as being out in nature. So, but it is definitely about our physical being and the way that we exist in this material world. So you can keep that in mind as you are making decisions and moving forward. Now, the other thing I would say is that Mars has the benefit of being in a sextile with Venus, and there's also a mutual reception between Mercury and Mars. So these work favorably, okay? And then Mercury is also in a trine to Jupiter. So those planets are also working favorably in alignment with this Mars energy. So the last thing I want to talk about is this quincunx that Mars is making with Saturn and Pluto. And as you can see, they are also in square to Venus and Mercury. So the thing about it is there may be some power struggles, because Pluto represents power and Saturn represents external authority. So there may be someone out there, or an organization, could be a person, could be an organization, could be an institution, policy, anything like that, that is an external power and authority that may be creating some of this pressure that you're experiencing, and it could even feel somewhat oppressive. And you need to make some decisions, but like I said, to take action, to change things, to create something new that's more in alignment with who you are and what you value, and your own sense of self-worth and your integrity. But keep in mind that astrology is all about evolution and integration of these energies. So it's not necessarily about rejecting that external power and authority. it's about learning how to integrate. So that might be following through on your commitments and your responsibilities and your duties, because that's what Saturn's all about. So in order to have more power in your life, the key is to integrate these energies, not reject them. When you reject them, you put them into the shadow. And that's the message of Neptune, because Neptune's shadow side is the shadow. So the integration is what allows you to create some kind of alchemy where you're able to bring the energies into yourself such that you empower yourself. And then the power is no longer an external authority, but rather it's your own internal power. And that's why I say, if you can make really balanced decisions about what meets your needs in the present and in the future, you can find a solution that balances these things so that you're not necessarily anymore in opposition to that external power and authority, but you have integrated them so that they become within you, okay? And if any of this is confusing, you're not understanding what I mean by integrating, feel free to leave questions in the comment boxes below, and I'm happy to try to expand on that to make it clearer. So the last thing I mentioned was that the South Node is conjunct Saturn. So this is Saturn down here, and the South Node, which is very karmic, and actually both of these planets, Pluto and Saturn, are very karmic, and the South Node is very karmic. So there's a lot of karmic energy involved in this. And the quincunx to Mars is also a karmic alignment. So sometimes it's called a karmic readjustment. So in other words, if you have given your power away to an external authority, the karmic readjustment can be about taking it back. But it also influences future karma. So that's why you want to be really careful that you're balancing not only your needs in the present, but also your needs in the future, so that you don't, in a sense, burn bridges. If it's not necessary, I would highly suggest that you make changes, but without burning bridges, because that's how we truly empower ourselves. That's how we truly integrate power, is to be able to bring balance to these things. So what Saturn with the South Node conjunction is saying is there is some pattern in your life, some karmic pattern in your life that is time for you to release. It's time for you to let go. It's time for completion. It's time for, once that's released, and like I said, it's exact on Tuesday, April 30th. So if that day has passed when you're watching this, try to think to anything that may have happened on or around Tuesday, April 30th, and see if you can pinpoint what this issue is. I'm betting most of you can, that you know exactly what I'm talking about when I describe these alignments and their energies. And so that's a karmic pattern that is time for you to release. You're done with it. You've learned your lessons. You're ready to move forward in a way that is much more empowering, where you have empowered yourself by integrating these energies and bringing the power into yourself and releasing those old patterns. And then you can begin something new with this new moon in Taurus. So that's the basic message that I wanted to share with you. And like I said, I hope that that was clear. And if it's not, please feel free to leave comments or ask questions in the comment boxes below this video. And of course, those of you who have been with my channel for a while know that I absolutely love your comments, and I try to respond to everyone personally. So, so I also want to say thank you for all of you who have been with me for a while, and all of you who subscribed to my channel, and all of you who have left comments. I thank you so much. I so appreciate it. So that's it for today, and I will look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.